Hi guys, I am the Dow King, and I was originally going to make a video because there's been so much hype about BNB and about how it's going to be 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. I've even seen predictions as high as $9,000 on the next bull run, and it only sits at $242 now. So what is going on? And obviously, for those of you that don't know, BNB is the token that is the Binance Smart Chain, which is basically by the world's largest exchange, Binance, and one of the richest men in the world, CZ. Now, there's a lot of turmoil around this, and I wanted to put this out there because I am also struggling what to do. I have been collecting BNB. I'm a BNB collector, and I'm a collector of it because I believe in it. It is the largest network by daily active users currently. About a few months ago, it had about 1.4 million daily active users, might be even more now. And Ethereum only had 400 to 500,000 to put in perspective. It is bigger than Ethereum. This is not a joke. On the next bull run, this thing could have ripped 30x. It could have. Now it's in doubt. Now we're looking at it going, could it be $50? Could it be $20? Could it just evaporate your entire portfolio? And this is why it's very important you don't put everything into one basket in crypto or in anything, whatever you're in. Even if you buy real estate, buy one in this market, buy one in another market. You have to diversify. This is why it's important. Even though this looked like a sure thing 2 weeks ago, look at it now. I mean, it's just plummeting. Now, the whole FTX stuff happened too, and it actually went all the way up here. This is when FTX happened to 400, and everyone's like, oh my goodness, Binance is going to just take over, BNB is going to take over, and the world is good, and this is going to be preordained. And there's a lot to like about BNB. That's why I was going to do a video on it. Could it be the next major token in the next bull run? I believe it's going to hold its position as being a top token, but where now is kind of in flux, right? Now, if you look at what's going on here, it's actually dropped from, I believe it was number 4. Now it's number 5. USD token has obviously, the dollar token has basically gone above it, but it's still the number 3, what you could call top cryptocurrency, layer 1, however you want to put it. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. BNB has some things that very few layer 1s have. It has a very aggressive burn mechanism. You just got to come to this site called bnbburn.info. So BNB is starting at 200 million tokens, and over time, it's going to go down to 100 million, and they're burning. And you can see the burn rates right here. This is the real-time information, and then this is the auto burns. And you can kind of see right here, they have 159 million supply, 42 million burn so far. They started with 202 million. It's going to go all the way down to 100 million. Then it's pretty much going to stop. There might be some minor burns, but it's going to pretty much stop for the most part. Now, you can go right here where it says burned amount. You can go back to Q3 of 2017, which is about 5 years ago. They've burned, you can see consistently, pretty good, about 2 to 3 million tokens per quarter. It went down here, about 1 million a quarter. And now look at this. It's been going up. So this tells me the reason it's going up is there's more transactions taking place. There's more use cases and more use of BNB. Now, what is incredible about this is happening during a bear market. Going into a bull market, this number I thought for sure is going to explode to 3 or 4 million tokens a day. And the fact that I saw this happen on BNB when the whole FTX debacle happened, when we saw the token basically explode to 400, hit about 400 on pretty, okay volume, nothing crazy. It was, it was decent volume, but it wasn't like rupture crazy bull market volume. So I was like, oh yeah, this thing can easily run because now there's not a lot of tokens in circulations. Every day it's going down. Every quarter it's going down. And by the time the bull run comes around, well, magical things could happen. And this could do its magical 20 and 30 and 40x people have been calling for. Now, again, this is not financial advice, guys. There's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. There's a lot I like about Binance and BNB. The reason I like BNB token is because unlike most layer 1s, it's deflationary. So if you look at most layer 1s, that's not the case. If you look at, for example, we'll come to this article in a second, Polkadot, for example, they're also worth about $6 billion, but they're releasing 10% more tokens a year. It's terrible. So you're buying Polkadot at $5, but you're getting diluted every year. Unless you stake it, you're not going to keep up. So you got to stake your Polkadot in order to kind of just keep up with the inflation that's taking place, okay? Ethereum becomes deflationary, but how deflationary is dependent on how much it's being used, right? Sometimes it's deflationary, sometimes it's not. As we know, Bitcoin is not deflationary. There are more tokens coming into circulation. No one has, in the top 20 tokens, has quite the power and the deflationary, hyper-deflationary mechanisms BNB has. If you know anything about DeFi, if you know anything about supply and demand, that is important to get you to the promised land of these 20, 30x gains. Now, let's look at Avalanche real quick. Avalanche does have some deflationary mechanisms, but it still hasn't given out all of its tokens yet. Once it does, Avalanche could potentially have a significant upside, but Avalanche is still giving out tokens, so, you know, more tokens are coming into the circulating supply. So this is very important to look at. But out of all the tokens, BNB had the highest hopes, had our hope, because it has all the good stuff, has everything. Most used network, hyper deflationary, backed by the biggest exchange in the world, backed by CZ, one of, I think, the top 5 richest people in the world. So a lot of great stuff coming through, right? Now, let's go to the BNB chart here. It's slightly coming off this 242, 244. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I haven't decided whether I'm going to buy. I haven't decided if I'm going to sell. It's really difficult. I might short. I don't know. I don't know. But this is where it all comes from right here, guys. This is terrible. BNB plummets as Binance auditor Mazars halts work with all crypto firms. So Mazars was auditing everyone and said, everyone's good. Crypto.com is good. Kucoin is good. Binance is good. They're all one-to-one. They're over-collateralized, and you can see the chart for BNB here. And then they pull this wicked shit. So you can see right here, they published the collateralized ratio of Bitcoin, you know, 101% collateralized. And then they said this, which is crazy. Mazars also performed proof of reserve assessment of Kucoin and Crypto.com exchanges, finding that BTC, ETH, USTD, and USDC reserves at Kucoin were over-collateralized as well, while Crypto.com had a one-to-one backing of its reserves. Fantastic. This is fantastic news. So what is going on? Okay? This is where it gets interesting. Both reports have been pulled off the firm's website as well. They pulled the reports, including the Binance one. Mazars' spokesperson told Decrypt that it has paused its activity relating to the provision of proof of reserve reports for entities in cryptocurrency sector due to concerns regarding the way these reports are understood by the public. Now, that's fascinating. If it's one-to-one reserve, what is the problem? What's the problem? How it's understood by the public is a very strange way to put it. Does this mean that it might not be a one-to-one reserve? Does this mean that the way they're getting the data given to them, Mazars is saying, well, maybe this isn't the full picture. This isn't the full data, because that is the only thing I can think of. That Mazars is looking at this in the crypto industry going, okay, it looks good. And then they come back and go, but maybe there's something over here we didn't look at. Are they not giving us everything we need? What is there? What is there? What are they looking at? This is a BNB on Binance, how it also has other utilities. What are they looking at? What is Mazars looking at that we don't see and that they just said, you know what, we're done? Now, CZ was on CNBC and other places, and they've asked him, you know, if somebody wanted $2 billion, what would you do? Could you give it to them? And he didn't answer. He basically said, oh, we'll let the lawyers figure that out, which is a terrible answer, by the way. Because before on Twitter, he's saying everything's one-to-one. Now, this is the question we have to put. This is a very important question. Do we separate BNB from Binance? It is its own network. Does this token, this glorious, glorious token that's worth $39 billion and was worth $50 billion not that long ago, does it separate? Do we have to look at this in the future and say BNB is no longer part of Binance. It is doing its own thing. We must look at it as a separate entity. And do we buy the dip? So I don't know yet myself. I'm thinking maybe if it goes below 215, which is where it was around July, if you go back to the July lows, I might consider and just take the risk and average down. I don't know myself yet. You can see down here. I did actually buy some down here when it hit last time. Some people say, you know, it has a plug. BNB always kind of tries to get back to this $300 line, which is fine. It's understandable. It has a couple times, but does it mean it will always go back there? I don't know. It did dip below 200 here, 197 in June. I mean, there have been other little dips, but nothing quite like this. The market's going up, keep in mind, and BNB is going down. So what I would like to see is this. I would like a little bit more clarity, but do we in our brains have to start separating BNB from Binance? It is its own network. It is being funded separately. It is its own project, its own company, its own entity. Will it go to 200? Will it go to 100? Could it go to 50? Don't know. But even if it does, the burns will continue, right? These are going to continue. The network is still there, right? It's still growing. The network hasn't stopped growing. Will Binance let it fall that far? That's really the question. Will CZ let it fall that far? I don't think CZ can afford to let it fall that far. That also is in the back of my head. This is a very confusing time, and crypto is so interesting because 1 week I'm about to come on and say, hey, this is it. You got to hold this for the long term. Next bull market, we all Lambo in it. We all get in Lambos. And then a week later, I'm like, oh, damn, does this thing go to 50? Does the whole market go down with it? What is going to happen? That's crypto. And that is actually everything in a lot of ways. That's even the stock market. Stock market has had a lot of losses. A lot of stocks have gone down. Look at Bird, which is the scooter company. It's not like 97%. It was $10. It's like in the pennies. It's like 30 cents or 40 cents, 50 cents. It's a lot of that stuff going on in the stock market. Billions of dollars wiped out. Multi-trillions of dollars wiped out in the stock market. Multi-trillions, way more than crypto. Not even close. I mean, the disaster in the stock market is magnitudes more in the dollar wise than in crypto, right? So do we have to put it in perspective? Do we have to take a step back and think about this and say BNB will be okay even if Binance is not? Maybe Binance doesn't come out of this. And then maybe all these fees that they're getting for saving and having benefits of BNB, you know, save 25% on spot trading and 10% on futures trading by having BNB. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe BNB doesn't matter. Maybe the network is big enough, and it is big enough right now, that it doesn't really matter. They are big enough at this particular point in time. And they can continue to burn 2 to 3 million tokens a quarter. And this number will eventually fall to 100 million tokens, which is insane. So you've got to start doing the math a little bit differently going forward, right? When you look at a BNB token at $200 or $300, at $300, it's, if you take it with where the token's going, it's only worth 30 billion, right? In the future. So that's kind of how I look at it, because I'm already saying to myself, well, why should it be worth 39 billion? It has 159 million tokens, but in the future, if it's valued here, it's only going to be 24 billion. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it, because I'm already considering that 100 million tokens is a lock. Maybe not right now. It could take another 5 years, but can you imagine this thing with 100 million tokens in 5 years and this network continuing to stay the size of what it is and the activity and the increase of it? It's probably that 20x, 30x people have been talking about, but it's not going to happen unless we see a split. What I would like to see is BNB kind of split off from Binance and say, we are our own entity. We are our own foundation. We do shit by ourselves. And whatever's happening in this shit show called Binance, ignore it. It's nothing to do with us. We are here. That's what I would like to see happen. That's what I suggest. I hope that they do, but let's see. Right now, guys, and you're going to say, is this going to crash? What do you do? I don't even know. I'm going to just wait and watch it. I'm watching this. It's been going up, but this doesn't mean anything. It did it back here too. This is a little bit of better foundation. This is a little bit better, but I don't know. And it did it up here too, and then it crashed the same. I might even consider shorting if I see it do like a quick run up. I don't know. It's a tough situation, but we need CZ, we need Binance to kind of step up to the plate and correct this. This is their fault. They need to correct it. Let's see if they will. Anyway, guys, hope that was helpful. Let's hope that it doesn't crash and burn. But if it does, it might be an opportunity. A lot of people I'm speaking to are telling me they're buying. A lot of guys that are whales are telling me they're buying. So let's see. I have no idea. We'll find out. Anyway, take care.